Right. Guys, welcome to episode 1 of Talk Up with me, William Winter, and your, at this point, temporary host, Uncle Jay.
How's it going,
it's just because we don't know if we're going to make him permanent yet. All right. It has taken a lot of effort and an awful long time to get us here for a number of reasons. One, we've been incredibly busy. That's not an excuse. We've been promising this for a long time. 2, we had to kind of cement the type of format we wanted, how we wanted to look, where we wanted to take it. I wanted to secure a different host as well, so it's not just always us, because I didn't want it just to be a complete verso show. That's not the point of this at all. It's an electrical podcast for the electrical industry. So yeah, there was a lot of things in it that had to go right, or had to go wrong, so we could get them right and things like that. Even just mapping the space out and everything else, which is so far from being done. I'm hoping it looks far more impressive that side of the camera than it does this side of the camera. So yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, I mean, today is literally just the first topic of getting us off the ground, so you guys can see the sort of thing we're going to be looking at doing, how we're trying to present it, a little bit of a teaser as to who that extra host is going to be, who's going to hopefully sit in this space once I finish building that side of the studio that you can't see. And obviously interviewing Jay to see if we're going to keep him. So feedback in the comments, please, if you think we should keep Uncle Jay or not. And if not, it's absolutely fine. He's got other stuff to do anyway. Yeah. The other thing is the other reason it took a long time to get this set up is we have to shoot this early in the morning because we've got to do 4 days work afterwards, because we're not doing sponsors that pay us, simply because we want to keep it an unbiased show. I think a lot of podcasts, YouTube channels and things like that end up losing a bit of credibility on their show just simply because it becomes about who's going to sponsor that channel. And then it comes a little bit of, not putting words in people's mouths or pointing fingers anywhere, but it comes a bit of like, lose a bit of credibility in my point when I know that you're pumping that product and you're pitching it out to be excellent, and I've seen the test data on that product and I wouldn't put it in my house. So, and I think there's a few people are getting a bit fed up of that. So this is going to be an unsponsored show. By all means, send product in. We're going to have obviously electricians on the show. We're going to have other manufacturers on the show, wholesalers on the show, and ourselves as well. And we'll analyze it. We'll happily, if you've got a new product to show or you think it really will help the industry, or especially electricians, we'd love to see it and give you feedback on it. Again, we'll always tell you what we're going to say before. We're not out here to kill anyone or destroy anyone's companies or products or anything else. That far from it. We want to keep it as positive as possible, this space. So with that being said, Uncle Jay, hit us off. Always don't do that.
Oh, sorry.
Frickin' hell. 2 minutes into it, and he's destroying the audio by smashing the table.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
Right, not a good first step on your interview there, Mr. White. Okay. Strike 1. Right. What are the topics today, mate?
Well, first topic is thermal derating.
Ah, really?
Yes. So recently you posted that YouTube video.
I did.
So we're just going to go more in depth onto that, if you don't mind me.
Okay, no, absolutely fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, thermal derating. Yeah,
yes.
Let's do it. What questions have you got about thermal derating, Mr. White?
Ooh. First one. What are you laughing for?
I don't know.
Hey, this is supposed to be serious. Come
on. I am serious. Deadly. Let's go.
Okay. Right. The first one I wanted to talk to you about.
Knocking on the table.
Sorry, man.
I'm going to derate you in a minute. You get fired halfway through the first show. Go on.
I'm out. Just run me through again, because I briefly spoke to you before this, just about the temperature chart.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things you were saying about is with the 19%, the 21%.
Yeah.
Right, just run me through how that works, because I've spoken to people previously about this and they're like, right, okay, I kind of get it, but I don't get it. So I just want more clarity on that one.
So you're talking about a thermal derating chart.
Yes.
Now, there's only a few manufacturers actually I found. I thought it'd be a bit more common because like if you're fitting a consumer unit or an RCBO from anyone, I thought it would be more accessible, then the information would be more accessible. I found out since, after speaking to Paul, why it's not, right? But what it is, essentially, it is just a simple chart which will start at 30 degrees. I'll explain why in a bit. But it will start at 30 degrees, and that's the testing parameter heat for your certification and your standards at BSEN. I think it's 69001 for the RCBO. So all the RCBOs are tested at 30 degrees, okay? And that's to make sure that they trip at the right amperage. So if you've got a 6 amp breaker, for example, you want it to trip at 6 amps or over 6 amps, right? Yeah. So What you don't want it to do is trip under it, because that's a nuisance trip, and you sure as hell don't want it to trip over it, because that's a risk. Okay, and obviously the greater it does either one of those, the greater the nuisance or the greater the risk. So what a thermal derating chart will tell you is how the thermals surrounding that product, i.e. at what temperature the amperage will change to. No, that's really badly said. The amperage will change depending on the temperature, right? And the chart will show you, depending on what temperature that environment is in, at what amperage that breaker will trip. There you go. That's better.
Bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah, sorry. So that thermal derating chart will show you from 30. If you look down at 30, and it won't just be ours, it'll be everyone's, right? So at 30, you'll have 6, 10, 16, 20, 25, 32, 40, 50. Bang, boom. They'll all trip at that point at that degree. Well, they should. Okay. Now, then it goes up usually in gradients of 5. So go up from 35 up to 60, and from 25 down to minus 5, I think ours goes. Yeah. And as you follow the columns either way, the next figure will be the amperage in which that breaker will trip. Okay. So I'll flag up ours on the screen at some point. Okay, so the guys can see, and I'll also put a link in the show notes so you can download ours and have a look. And you'll see as you follow up the temperature, that tripping capacity reduces. Top of my head, when we get to 60, I think a 6 amp breaker goes from 6 to 4.8.
Yeah.
And then if you go from 30 all the way down to minus 5, I think it's 7.4.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. So on a 6 amp breaker, for example, on our derating, which is one of the smallest derating factors in the industry, there's still quite a considerable difference. And obviously on a 6 amp breaker, you're going up to 7.4, you're going down to 4.8, okay. But on a 50 amp breaker, I think it goes all the way up to 59.8.
Something ridiculous.
On the minus 5, and I can't remember how much it reduces at 60 degrees. I think it's 40 something off the top of my head. Anyway, so if you map that out on ours, which I think is only a 19% derating factor, that's still something that you're going to have to factor in to your electrical design. Not really ever going to be an issue in your standard domestic setting. So if you're looking at a consumer unit, you change the board, you've upgraded it to a Verso consumer unit, those devices there, you can fit in the ambient temperature of a home is anywhere between 17 and 24. The running temperature of our RCBOs is it's actually the lowest in the industry. So you're not going to get an environmental change too much to the board. And therefore, the derating factor is going to be very, very minimal, if at all. So you'll be fine. And there are other manufacturers in the industry that are similar. Yeah. There are other manufacturers in the industry that are not, right, where their derating factor is up to 40%. So now you're calculating 40, that's not from 5 degrees, that's from 30 to 60 and from 30 down to minus 5. Right, okay. But the differential is up to 40% at either end of that scale. Well, 40% of 50 amp, for example, especially on a derating factor at minus 5, is huge. That's dangerous. That's risk, huge risk. And again, upwards, you're just talking about nuisance tripping to the point where it could become unlivable. Like, and you're going to get a callback like this is ridiculous. Again, unlikely to reach those extremes in a domestic setting because the ambient temperature of the sphere of the board isn't that high. But when you start filtering that back to people fitting consumer units outside or in other environments, whether either warmer or colder or have a fluctuation temperature, mate, that's massive. Again, you really got to start thinking about how you can control the environment of those devices as much as you possibly can. Even when you're fitting a higher pedigree product like ours, for example, you are still, if you're going to stick it outside, for example, and you mentioned the peaks of Scotland.
Yes.
That gets cold. You fit in a board outside in Scotland. I actually had one electrical contractor on Instagram reach out to me and say, when I did the video on IP boards outside. Yeah. And I mentioned obviously rain doesn't go upwards. Apparently in Scotland it does.
Does it?
I think it's the wind. So as the rain comes down, obviously the wind is so high on the peaks of Scotland, it kind of scoops it up.
Right. Okay.
And it can hit the bottom of a consumer unit because normally if they're fitting them outside, they should. They should. I've seen some that don't gland it from the bottom, right? But some do still gland it from the top. But in the theory, obviously, that rain doesn't go up. But apparently in certain areas of Scotland, rain doesn't go up. And so, you are really at risk of the elements anyway. So inside a home, generally safe. The only thing I would say is if you've got a number of larger circuits, especially if you're using these brands that have a high derating factor, don't group the larger circuits. And if you are going to put a lot of them in, just space them out.
blanks.
Yeah. I mean, use a DIN rail blank, or or if you don't have space, use a DIN rail blank. Maybe just look at grouping smaller circuits next to larger circuits to reduce that kind of conductive heat. But yeah, it was surprising me when we put that video out how many electricians still weren't aware of it. Okay, now it is something that tends to affect RCBOs far more than anything else, just because the running temperature of them is higher. As a standard than other devices. And that would also include obviously AFTDs, because AFTDs are a combi between obviously an arc fault detection device and an RCBO. Yeah. So you got a situation there. So it was really it was a good topic. I mean, a few people had some questions in this and the other. We'll probably make a follow-up video on it. But but a lot of people, there was one but in particular, I think it's Paul from E5 mentioned, great topic. You didn't even go deep enough, because we didn't. To be fair, we literally just touched on the surface level of thermal derating. Yeah. But it does seem like it's something that more electricians are becoming aware of. Okay. No manufacturers are talking about it, and it does affect electrical design massively. Especially in certain environments. So I think it's something we'll dig deeper into. Yeah. And again, guys, if you are watching or listening and you'd like to know more, and there's a specific area of thermal derating that you've got a question about, get in touch. If I don't know yet, I'll find out, and we'll do a presentation on it and see if we can educate you that way.
Just to stop you there quickly, the thermal derating chart. Do all manufacturers have that?
No, and the reason they don't have that, as I found out, is because the testing you have to do to basically gather that data, it's not a requirement, believe it or not, for a BSEN standard product. It's also not a requirement for an awful lot of certification standards. Wow. So there's a lot of people say, oh, it's independently tested. Brilliant. But that's like saying, unless you know by who and what the parameters are they're testing, that doesn't actually carry much weight, does it? So, and even within certain testing houses, like the one we use in Germany, they have different standards of certification. So you can carry their badge, all right? But at the same point, you've got like the entry level of their testing, or you can go to the level we do so we can get our specification work, and it costs 4 times as much. But the actual testing you have to do to be able to gather the information to do those thermal deratings to each end on every device, a lot of factories in China especially do not have the capacity to do it, which means they have to then outsource that, which is tens of thousands of pounds per device. So that's why they don't do it. So there's one company that I know, Hager, do it. Hager advertise theirs. Obviously, we've got ours. I say advertise, that's strong. They obviously make theirs available, which I thought was really good, which is why we did it. Yeah. I think you can get older Schneiders. Okay. Wilex are another one. So Electrium. Again, the brands you would expect to be able to get it from that have always carried weight in the circuit protection industry as far as credibility is concerned, you can access it from. Right. So, and obviously we've always tried to either exceed their standards or at least match them as a bare minimum, so that's why we've done it. But a lot of other brands, shall I say, nope.
Do you think it's a case of them unwilling to be transparent because they're scared as to what their feedback will be?
Not always. With some probably, but I think a lot of it is electricians still don't know to ask for it, so they're not thinking about factoring it into their designs. So they're not asking for it, so they're not having to provide for it. The other one is obviously the cost. You got to weigh it up. If you only want to pay a £5 for an RCBO, well then you're going to omit certain situations from that situation, right? So if you're only paying a £5 for it, then you only expect a £5 worth of support, right? That's not just on the product, that's on all the other infrastructure as well, which means certain stuff that you're going to get from other brands is going to be missing, because they can't afford to sell that for a £5 and then hit the standards of like certain testing standards of information and data. It's just impossible. So you kind of a bit boring, but like you get what you pay for, don't you? So
valid point. In the video, you talk about the ambient.
I'll chop your hand off.
Sorry, mate.
I'm going to chop your hand off.
It's my nerves.
It's your nerves. Should have had that coffee.
You mentioned quite frequently about the ambient temperature. My question is there a right or wrong place in terms of installing the fuse board in the house? Is there a specific place that you would say, I recommend you install in here, or?
No, I mean, just internally, really. I mean, if there's a room for whatever reason in the home that emits an awful lot of heat, like I wouldn't stick it above boiler, but I don't think you actually can anyway. But no, in a standard domestic dwelling in the UK, I don't think there's any way you can't. I mean, legislation aside, I don't think there's any way you can't get away with it. The loft, maybe be a bit aware of the loft. But again, most of those are quite well insulated these days. And well, to be fair, some PV systems and stuff now, they do put the brains of the house in the loft because there's a lot and they're trying to hide it, right? But again, would it dip that low? I wouldn't have thought so. But it's something to be aware of, I suppose, if you're putting in a loft. Or if you've got like a cellar, a basement type, one of posh house like that. Maybe, but again, I'd assume that'd be quite well insulated. I can't see that dipping, into the really lows or really highs. Loft might get quite warm though, thinking about it. Probably get
in the
warm.
summer?
Yeah, probably get warmer than it would do cold. But again, I don't know enough about lofts or roofs, so that's the truth. I've got no interest in roofing whatsoever. But yeah, I can't get in my loft. There's so much crap in it, so it's. I could tell you. Yeah, I could tell you if it gets cold or anyway. But yeah, inside a house, really, I think you're fine. I think it's more when you're looking at externals or barns, or when people are putting like these like man caves outside, or maybe like a garage conversion, or all these little things. And again, obviously, a lot of EV installers and some PV installers are just whacking them in either in the meter cupboard or just on the side of the bloody house. So yeah, in those situations, I would be. I think there's actually one manufacturer. I've seen something on Instagram, and I'll take it with a pinch of salt. I'm not sure it's true or not. That someone said that the IP board that's been quite popular to be fitting outside, actually within the instruction says not suitable for external use, which makes a lot of sense. There is a call for IP units. There always has been in certain plant rooms or in environments that are quite humid and things like that to stop water ingress from condensation. They were never meant to shove them outside. Yeah, to shove them on the side of the house. So
you're strongly against them being outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the board, you can. I'm not really asked if the board's outside. It's the devices. I'm strongly against RCBOs and RCD devices, or any protective device really being fitted outside. I'm sure there's a call for a DIN rail enclosure for something else, but as far as a protective device on a final circuit, no, it doesn't make sense. Especially when you think you're plugging that into an EV charger, which is supposed to be looking after your very expensive car. Like, that just blows my head a little bit.
No pun intended.
No, but honestly, like, why would? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. So. Okay. So in terms of this thermal derating, right? Do you feel like the legislative bodies need to do more in terms? Okay.
Yeah. But God, when did we start the Say No to AC campaign?
That was years ago. So that could have been. So I started here 2019. I think it was either.
So it's 2020 then.
Yeah.
So 2020, and they didn't put that in. And we were commercial associates, the ECA, and we made a lot of people aware of that. And they didn't put that in play until 2022.
Could well have been.
I think it was in the 18th, wasn't it? Was it in the 18th? Did they make an amendment in the 17th to put it in?
I think they made an amendment in the 17th.
I can't. Guys, again, in the comments, whenever Type A become mandatory, I thought it was with the 18th. Jake could be right. It might have been slightly earlier. Yeah. I know they made. No, I think they made an amendment in the 17th about being aware of it.
And then it became mandatory.
And then it became mandatory in the 18th, I think. Yes, I think that's right, because everyone was asking then at that time, "Oh, do you do Type A?" And we've never done Type AC. It's always been Type A. So. Because we could see that, and again, because then we had to remind people we were the ones that started a campaign for it. So again, if we started a campaign for IP boards today, or thermal derating today, I think we might see a change from the IET 2028. And then they still wouldn't send us the regs book. I like how every other manufacturer got it 2 weeks before we did. I love that. It's great. Yeah, that really cheesed me off.
No, it is what it is.
Yes, we don't do enough gala dinners apparently. Yeah.
So right, just summarising on that. Is there any final thoughts you have on thermal derating that you want to share?
Guys, ask the questions. Right, this isn't a Verso pump. Like, ask the. I don't care what fuse board you use, what consumer you use, what RCBO you use. Well, I do care. That's also a lie. Of course, I want to use ours. But should the devil take you in a different direction, then just ask the question. Especially again if you're fitting a consumer unit with a lot of larger circuits, and there's not that much space in the board, and you're going to group them together. And even guys, even on the cheaper boards, right? If you end up having to buy a much bigger board because you're spacing all your breakers out, just think about the commercials of that as well. Just ask questions to those manufacturers. That would be my suggestion. Educate yourself on it a little bit, and don't get caught out, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for that electrical design of that house, of that install, and if anything happens, you'll be held accountable for it. And the manufacturer will scoot out of that real quick.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom.
Indeed.
That could be the problem. Boom.
Oh, no pun intended.
Well done, Jay.
Oh, gosh. Right. So just moving forward, next part is sponsors.
Sponsors.
So
Well, we don't, like I say, we don't have a sponsor because you don't pay us. But the guys from Hanger have been in touch, which I thought was quite interesting. So I like the story. 2 electricians.
Okay.
They've obviously designed this product to help other electricians. That's a big part of what I really like, right? So first thing I noticed about it, I'll be honest, is please don't take this the wrong way. I didn't expect it to be made that well. If you look at like the actual mold and the stuff that I would look at, which most human beings wouldn't bother, but just little things like even the way they've got it embossed. I don't know if you can see it here. Embossed at the back here as well as here with a nice finish. That cost money. The tooling on that isn't cheap. It's the only product like it in the world apparently. So they've told us it is pronounced Hang-R. It should reduce soreness and pains and issues and injuries in the back from tool belts, jackets, and obviously getting back up and down out your bag, getting your product out. It clips onto any consumer unit apparently. So we tested it. I might put some B-roll up in a minute for those for the video viewers, but we tested it on our smaller board because it looks quite big. If you look at it, it looks quite big. So I didn't think it would fit on our little sort of garage unit or little 8-way board or 6-way board. So I tried it, and it actually does. It fits. You don't have to use all 3 clamps for it to fit really well. It holds obviously all your tools that you need. What I really liked was this little bit here for your screwdrivers and bits as well. Obviously using torque screwdrivers with consumer units. It's supposed to save time as well.
Yeah,
I suppose that would be an element because you got all your tools laid out, so there was less time. I when I did the eFix wall challenge, the reason my time was so bad, or at least the reason I tell myself time was so bad, 1 was the consumer unit I was using, 2 it was a Luden board.
Say no more.
I won't. Yeah, and 2 was the fact I was spending a lot of time changing between tools. And when I watched it back and watched other electricians do it, they literally did the whole thing with 1 set of snips. It was mental. But yeah, so again, it was supposed to reduce time that way. So guys, check them out. They are, so they're 2 lads trying to do their bit, put a product into the market that clearly they feel helps. I can't see a reason why it doesn't. But again, I don't fit many consumers. I make a lot. I don't fit many. I've only ever fitted 2, to be fair, and I didn't have a hanger. So I will ask our resident co-host on the next show to see what his thoughts are on it, and if he's used one. I think he actually has. I think I've seen something on Instagram. I think he has.
Could well have. They were also saying though, what was their other USP? That they're the only ones that make it, or something this.
Yeah. I think I said that.
Oh, did you?
Mate, that's strike 3.
Did you actually?
I did. Yes, it's the only one like it in the world.
Oh, did you actually? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Guys, again, feel free to leave your feedback on the show, in the show notes about both the content and the hosts. And yeah, we are constantly looking to improve. This is only episode 1, so we will.
It's a pilot.
Yeah, we will constantly be evaluating people's performances. Jay Coney isn't hitting his KPIs. His CV will be on Indeed later. Oh Jesus, got it.
Right, okay. So just moving forward on that one,
Yeah.
we've got some Q&A questions.
Oh, I like Q&A.
Q&A?
I don't know.
I think it is Q&A now.
Well, let's hear it then. It sounds like you've got a question.
I have got a question.
Can I help you?
I'm just waiting for my laptop to load.
Battery died.
Battery died. Hold on 1 sec.
You seem confused.
I am confused.
Oh, there you go.
Right, because I was lying. It's not Q&A next.
It's not Q&A.
No, we are discussing external consumer units.
I kind of
To be fair, yeah, we've done that.
Don't
actually.
do it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. First question, right? Because you sent me over the questions, but
right,
you haven't.
My last thing. Sorry. My last thing on external consumers is there's no such thing. Okay, not to my understanding, unless there might be. Actually, tell a lie. But what people are considering an external consumer unit is an IP65 consumer unit. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's insulated or anything else like that. What that means is it will stop dust and water ingress. Okay, that does not mean because when we see IP65, the first thing we think of is a socket. Right. If I said IP65 unit to you, you'd be thinking about our enclosure, right? Yeah. So, and that is always fitted where? Outside, right? So you think, okay, IP65 socket goes outside, well, my IP65 consumer unit can go outside. And in theory, it can. The board, there's nothing wrong with the board. It's IP65. Is it tested to IP65? 100% it will be, right? To get an IP certification standard, it has to go through, it has to be tested by all these different water jets on different angles at different pressures for different time, all sorts of stuff. So that will be IP65 until two things happen. You put a hole in it, right, to put your conductors through. That's the first thing. So unless you're then retesting that seal the same way it was tested coming out of the factory, then it can't be IP65. You can't guarantee it's IP65. So straight away, as soon as you install the bloody thing, you've killed its IP65 standards. Two, it doesn't stop the temperatures affecting the tripping capacities of the breakers. Therefore, is it IP65? Yes. If you want to fit it under the sink, fine. Right? Not fine, but you know what I mean. If it comes into contact with it, occasional rain or high condensation or whatever it might bloody be, right? Not rain, sorry, water. Then I get it. Inside the home. But where you can't control the temperature spaces, where you're going to have to knock holes in it and in all sorts of stuff, which is pretty much every consumer unit, then no, there's no way, in my opinion, that you can classify an IP65 consumer unit as an external consumer unit. I think the two are very different. And that's my last comment on IP65 boards. Feel free to disagree with me. Plenty of people probably will. And again, if you've got any reason why I'm wrong, please let us know. Again, jump in the comments, send us a message or whatever, or come on the show. But that's my 2 pennies worth on IP65 boards. And now we move on.
Right, you ready for the Q&A?
Yeah, I'm off my high horse. Very good.
Right, okay. So you sent me over the questions.
Yep.
But you forgot to tell me as to who they are from.
Yeah, that's because I forgot to write them down. Yeah.
So apologies in advance,
yeah,
guys.
I will, again, put you in the show notes, thanking you for your questions when I go back on my phone and find out who it was that sent them in.
Right, so until then, so the first question is from, we'll just say anonymous, or John Doe.
John Doe's someone who's dead, isn't it?
It is, isn't
it? Yeah, it's not from John Doe. I'm pretty sure they're alive. Well, I hope they are. Mate, you've just really changed the whole dynamic of this show.
Okay, we'll start.
Strike forward.
Let's revert back. Anonymous, right? Okay, so first question. Would you consider a plug-in neutral system similar to Schneider, or is this already patented?
Discuss. Schneider's systems a lot of their systems are patented. As we found out in our 3-phase design process. Yeah. And I think their latest revenue point was like 1.6 billion as a global company.
Is that it?
Oh, no, peasants. Yeah, I bet the guy who does their podcast doesn't have to edit it themselves. Yeah.
Valid.
No, so their lawyers get paid more than us. So there is no way, shape or form I would be going anywhere near a Schneider patent. Have we looked at a plug-in neutral? Depends on what you mean by plug-in. If you mean like a push connector, like a bit of like a Wago connection, yes, I have looked at it. There are systems like that available in Europe. However, the simple answer is a British electrician just won't pay the price. There is another version of it that we've looked at that we're exploring, but in honest answer, the problem with it is it all comes down to cost. So you add a feature like this or a USB into a product, there's tooling and certification, and then there's obviously engineering costs. When the first price I get out of a wholesaler is how much is your RCBO, then that becomes a very difficult conversation to have. Then like, well, it's cost X because we've got this feature in it here. Well, my contractors buy on price, so or I buy such and such an RCBO from such and such a manufacturer for £1. Like, well, okay, well, So yeah, there's always that kind of push pull between the commercial aspect of it and the engineering side of it, which is why you find, I suppose, a lot of bigger brands like a Schneider, for example, have products along that sphere.
Okay.
Even though all their products are expensive or more expensive than ours, they are designed for, I suppose, different spaces and markets. So yeah, at this moment in time, we have explored it. I don't think we've got the economies of scale to really go after it this minute in time. But there is a version of it that I'm looking at. I'm hoping we can get over the line probably by the summer.
Good stuff.
But there you go.
Well, thank you.
Great question. Thank you very much.
Right, Anonymous 2. Will there? Oh my gosh! You give me the questions, and I've typed this completely wrong. I said,
like
will
5.
will there be a day? So yeah, will
We
there?
have a better host.
There won't.
No, because everyone does this for free. So you got to kind of you take what you get, really. Oh, geez.
Serious, come on. Right, will there be a day where RCBOs become like
RCEBOs?
RCEBOs.
Oh, wow.
Mate, let me start again. Let me compose myself.
Please
here.
do, yeah.
Will there be a day where RCBOs become like AFDDs and give you a fault indicator?
No.
No?
No, you got two faults, really, and in my very humble opinion, unless you go down like a Bluetooth route that Hager have tried with their AFDD, which after...
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Nervous elbow.
Oh, Jesus. Can't wait for this new host to turn up. No, which after obviously recent reviews and things that I think a lot of people will be wanting to stay clear of.
Do you think it would just be over-engineered
Yeah,
for what it is?
A little bit. But I also think, again, like when you start putting an indicator in place and then it needs a PCB in there, but people want a compact RCBO, so you want more stuff into a breaker's space. You're talking about higher levels of engineering, is the truth, right? Smaller components mean more lead time in production, which means more production processes, which means more cost, which people don't want to pay. So whilst I understand from an electrician's perspective, if I could go, if Mrs. Jones has called me up saying that this circuit's tripped, whatever, I can go to the board, maybe hold a button in or whatever, and the thing is going to tell me what the fault is. It makes it easier for me to isolate the fault on the circuit and know what I've got to do and save me time on testing and going around and blah, 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 blah. So I get it from a convenience perspective for the electrician, but I cannot see it from a cost perspective from the initial install. Because it's not going to help the guy installing it. It's going to help the guy who goes to site afterwards.
Yeah.
Where I could see something like that maybe would be housing association specifications, because that would help a DLO team. That would help, in that situation. You could, risky, but you could ask the occupant to go to the board and basically read out what the fault is so they know who to send or what it might be. But I think we're way off that yet. And again, a lot of that will come down and be predicated on price, because even housing associations have really tight budgets these days.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, in terms of where I sit...
Unless they're buying smoke detection.
Well, yeah, there is that. But in terms of where I sit in the business, like you said before, value point is the cost.
Yeah.
And I just think from where it is now, price X, to where it would need to be, I can't see that many people looking to pay that.
No, I mean, don't forget... The price discrepancy between a standard RCBO now and a compact RCBO is negligible compared to where it was 5 years ago. Okay, you're talking a few quid. But 70% of our RCBO sales are talls. Okay, so that is mainly on price. Now, if that gap was to be £1 per unit on a 10-weight board, 10 quid, some electricians, I won't go as far as say most, but then I reckon that number will go maybe 60-40 or 55-45. But it's not going to flip in reverse and go 30-70 the other way, because it's still £1 or £1.50 difference. But it's still a 10 quid on a 10-way board, isn't it? So I can't see then adding something like that. Again, that doesn't benefit you on install. That only benefits the guy coming to site afterwards.
You're not going to do that, are you?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Because if the guy coming behind you is quoting the job on a price as well, you're not going to win. Even if you do tell the homeowner, oh, by the way, if something ever goes wrong, which it shouldn't, but if it does, if you push this button, you'll be able to call me and tell me what the problem is, and then I come over and fix it. I just I like the idea of really doing. If it was a standardized situation as a BSEN standard, I think it'd be fantastic, but I think pigs will fly first.
Cool.
So, yeah, great question. But again, I think our industry is crippled by the pricing elements that people are willing to pay, unfortunately.
Right. Question 3.
A good one.
It's just a standard question, really. No disrespect to anyone. But
Anonymous 3.
Anonymous
You
3.
only have a standard question. According to Jay.
Will we be doing any trade shows next year? Oh, you thought it was a really good question, did you?
No, I just don't really know how to politically answer it. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to go slopey shoulder syndrome on this one real quick, and I'm going to put it out to our audience, which is hopefully more than 5 people, and ask them, will you be attending any trade shows next year? Because we did Coventry and Exeter this year.
Yeah.
We done more last year. I can't remember which ones we done more last year.
Well, we did Coventry last year.
We
did Exeter last year as
we
well.
did Bolton last year as well.
Bolton, yeah.
Yeah. So, we usually do 2 or 3 a year. We've done, and those shows are the ELEX shows. So let's be more specific, okay? So trade shows, we do 2 wholesaler trade shows a year. And that's because we're approved by 2 buying groups for independent wholesalers. Again, if you don't know what they are, not an independent wholesaler, I'm sure you all know what one of those is, but a buying group worth looking into, especially if you are an independent wholesaler, isn't part of one yet. But we do the IBA trade show, which is really good.
Yeah.
And really engaging, and you do on the day offers and yada yada yada. And again, the way they do certain events throughout the year as well. We will be doing that one again. The AIEW also do a show, which is structured completely differently. It's more of a social event really that manufacturers attend. We might do that one again next year. The contractor trade shows, I've got to be honest, the Exeter one went well. I felt that was really well attended. I didn't go for the first day, you did.
Yeah.
I was there for the second day.
First day was good.
And that was it was Wednesday, Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah. They changed the days.
Yeah.
So I thought it was usually Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. But I think Exeter's always Wednesday, Thursday for some reason. I'm not sure why. I could be wrong though. Colin, if you're watching, or any of the guys from Professional Electrician or the show, obviously jump in if you want to. But I thought Exeter was quite good. Ironically, like 9 years ago when I first started the company, it was the first show I'd ever done. I don't remember much. I went out with all the guys from Hager, and it was
good night.
Yeah, but my head the following day was not good, and that I wouldn't mind. That was night 1, so I did both days. So yeah, I got down there in the morning, set up a little pop-up stand because all I could afford at the time, and then I think they took pity on me, bless them. So they took us out. I didn't have an expense account. I didn't have anything, and I had a great time with them. To be fair, a lot of the people I went out with don't work there anymore. One of them still does.
Right.
Always say hello to them at the shows, honestly.
Yeah.
We always had a good relationship with those guys there, but they've all gone on to different things. But yeah, got absolutely hammered. But where I screwed up was they got like an army of like 20 on their stand, didn't they? And there was just little old me when I was stood there the following day, like, oh my God, someone bury me. I just can't do this. I don't want to be here. And to be fair, that was well attended, unfortunately. So, I can't remember if that was a Wednesday, Thursday, or I can't remember much at all about that one. But then you got Coventry, which we did last year, which I thought last year was much better than this year.
Yeah, Coventry was really good last year.
Yeah. But again, I think we enjoyed that more because we were next to Junii Whyte last year and opposite Hager, which was just fun because they would just launched their Bluetooth FDD.
Yeah.
And then opposite the guys from Trade Legends and
because they were doing like quite a lot of interviews.
Yeah, no, that was good fun, and that's how we got to know them guys and that. And so we first met Nick Bundy and that, and that was a good laugh. And again, it was just really well attended. But I think it was the first big show after COVID.
It was.
So yes. I think everyone just wanted to get out. This year, I thought it was pony.
What?
I did. I thought it was terrible this year. I did. I'm sorry. I do. Like I thought.
God.
Yeah. No, we're going to be honest.
Right, okay.
We're going to be
All right.
Like, here's what ticked me off, right? So we got up there. Stop looking at me like that. I'm going to sack you. not your job. I need you but for the podcast.
Thank you, Anonymous 3, for this question.
Right. got up there the first day.
Yeah.
Went up with Steve, right?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Steve works as our spec guy. I used to work for ACO, then saw the light, come work for a proper company. I'm joking. One day I want to be ACO's
Please
side.
just continue.
Yeah. I was going to stop. I'm not here to pick fights. I love you, ACO. Come on the show. No, all jokes aside. Went up there with Steve and Sam. Fat Sam joined us. Yeah.
There's only one Sam.
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's quite a common name. Sam could have been anyone.
Yeah, but how do they know who Fat Sam is?
Fat Sam from the podcast, Fat Sam.
Oh,
we had...
there's only one Sam on the podcast.
But they didn't know I was talking about the Sam on the podcast.
Oh, whatever. All right. Yeah. Anyway.
Because we had a Sam working for us at the time as well. That we used to call Fat Sam.
Jesus. Just move on.
I've moved. Right, listen. It was there. He'd driven all the way from Kent.
Yeah.
I'd come from close to Swansea. Steve had come from Oxford, which to be fair, Steve, that doesn't count. That's like half hour, right? But anyway, so we get there. Stand's all set up. Thankfully, we've got to a point now where someone else does that for us. So.
Yeah.
Right, and sets all the stand up. The sound looked fantastic, really good. Location was terrible. Stuck us opposite live electrical. That peed me off. That was the first thing. I'd sent him an email when I first got there. Basically, are you taking a Michael? Because this is, Then, I stood there all day, right? It gets to 2:00. The damn thing becomes derelict. I leave Sam and Steve there. I then drive an hour and a half to get to the IBA show. Okay, stay there. Again, may have drank too much. 10 years in, learn a damn thing, right? Had a great show at the IBA show.
Yeah, it was good.
Fantastic day of sales, really good engagement, great catch up with the guys. In the morning, had to wake up at a crack-a-rotted dawn, eat some breakfast that I had to shovel down, I felt vile. Then drive back up to Coventry where you and me did that show with a hangover. Bless him, Fat Sam come back up. It's true, right? Podcast Sam came back up.
There we are.
I'm not fat shaming him. That's his name on Instagram.
Oh, is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh,
right. So he comes. He comes. He's not even fat. Big boy and all. I didn't realize he's that tall because on his podcast, he got the way his camera is.
Yeah,
kind of sits down and
yeah.
to be honest, I thought he was shorter than me. Still, I thought, oh, fair play.
Yeah, he's a big lad. Fair play.
And I know he goes around slapping people on sides, but I wouldn't argue with him too tough. I'll be honest. Anyway, right. So he's there. He's driven all the way back up from Kent, and again, the morning was really, really good.
Yeah.
But by lunchtime, it's like, wow. Why were we there?
It was quite.
And to the point where I thought, well, hang on, I should get this half price. Because it was, and then like when I add up the cost of it, people's time, the expenses, the hotels of it all, the travel expenses, the space, the stand, getting the stand put up, taken down, the travel, all that sort of stuff, and then look at the inquiries that we took from the Coventry show. We lost money. So to answer the question, will we do trade shows next year? I think we will do Exeter next year. Collins asked us to look at Sandown, which apparently is their flagship, which we didn't attend this year, do we? Is it November? It
is. To be fair, he sent us some information on that one, but
right,
I think it's
because he tried to get us in on a last minute show, didn't we? But based on the feedback we've had so far from the other shows, I said no. I think I'm in China, aren't I? And that shows them.
You are.
So, yeah, I mean, one of us will have to go. Well, it won't be me. There's a long way to come back to. No disrespect to Elex, but it's a long way to fly to pop in on your Sandown show. But one of us should go down and have a look at it. And again, you guys, if you attend these shows and you think some are really good, let us know. Again, if you're a manufacturer, you're probably not watching this yet, but we're being nice. But if you're a manufacturer and you think there's a particular Elex show that works really well from you, we'd love to hear it. If you're an electrician and you go to these shows, which ones do you think's best? But yeah, I'm a bit hit and miss, a bit like print media really. I'm a bit hit and miss on that. I'm not quite sure it's for us at this minute in time. If you've got like a gazillion pounds worth of marketing budget like some of these big companies do, and you just want to be omnipresent and anywhere anyone looks at anything electrical, you see your name. Yeah, then that's guerrilla marketing. Go for it. Where we are, we spend our money where it makes sense, where it impacts electricians. And where we think we can control the message better and also evaluate how many people are seeing that information and what they think of it. Because that's the other point. If you put something out there and people think it's pony, but no one tells you, you just keep doing it. That's right. So it becomes a waste of money. So, I don't know. I think we'll probably do Exeter and we'll evaluate the rest. But I think the industry could do with a few other options. It's got Elex. Apart from that, the installer show is pretty much plumbers. I went to Solar Storage the other day, which is pretty much plumbers.
That was actually.
Wow, there's a lot of PV installers that are plumbers last week. Yeah, but don't get me started on that. I am electrical purist. I am sorry, and that's why another reason I want to do this podcast. No plumbers invited. Nothing against plumbers, you're just not electricians. And stay away from our consumer units. I don't want you fitting them.
Let's move on to question 4.
Let's move on to question 4. Yeah, I'm back on my soapbox.
Right, okay, final question.
Oh,
From Anoni4. Anoni.
Jesus.
That came out wrong, didn't it? Right. Who are your favourite manufacturers in the industry and why?
Well, apart from ourselves,
Yes.
I plead the fifth.
We had this because we had this conversation before we went on.
Yeah, and I'm too competitive.
Yeah.
Like, I just, I don't know. You go first.
No, I said mine.
Who was it?
Who did I? I said Hago originally.
A strike 6.
I'll see myself out.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think.
No, I just said Hager. I just like the product portfolio. I love the marketing as well. I always love the colouring, like the Hager blue. I thought that's quite nice. So that's who I've always opted for in terms of if someone said who's your preferred manufacturer. Yeah, that was
Outside of ourselves, obviously.
Yeah, outside. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
But no. I went for Hager, and then I spoke to you about it.
You applied for a job there?
No.
You see, that's what. Right.
No.
Yeah, that's it. Corporate espionage. I can feel it.
But yeah, so that was mine, and then I spoke to you, and then we were talking about different other manufacturers.
Yeah.
I named a few, and you weren't too impressed.
No. There are no other circuit protection manufacturers out there that I would recommend, or that I'd say I'd like.
Is that you being honest, or is that just that competitive animal in you?
Yes.
Which one is it?
Well, you work it out. ACO.
Okay.
I think I said ACO earlier as well. I think you got to look at ACO. There's a few reasons why. I love the fact they completely and they always re-innovate and they're always restructuring their product. But from a business perspective, having 94% market share in pretty much
it's unprecedented.
Yeah, and such control over your market and at the same point, wholesalers don't like them as a rule of thumb because they're dictated to by them. And so is their price and everything else like that. And everyone needs to stock it, right? But MK were like that of old. Of old, they were very much like that. But they just have kept a grip on it. But then it goes deeper than that, right? If you ever got to ACO's building.
The Iron Man building.
Mate, it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my life. The training that they do, the work on their specification stuff they do, the work with housing associations they do. It is one hell of an organisation. And again, built grassroots, so I got a lot of time and respect for that. I think Neil Hooper does a good job of running a tight ship as well. I've never met an ACO rep that I thought wasn't well trained and didn't know their stuff. I haven't met that many, to be fair, but I can't imagine you'd last very long though if you didn't. And yeah, I just think it's very difficult to punch holes in a company like that.
Yeah, because like you talk about their training and stuff like that. I think
they spent like $200,000 on a training van.
Yeah,
and they spent another like £250,000 on a training centre at their place and things like that. And I know they usher wholesalers up there.
Yeah, there's like mandatory requirements.
Yeah. I don't know how that works, but I think it's something to do with their rebates are tied into. They have to send someone. They have to have like a product champion in there and things. I think that's awesome. But then having investing that much into the facility in the first place to actually be able to offer that. But then at the same point, that if you're dealing with a proper ACO distributor, that there should be someone within that building that can answer your questions on ACO. But that's awesome, and I think that's a real partnership. Again, ACO have got the point now where you have to if you want to trade with them and you want to be an ACO preferred supplier. But they also do stuff for the contractors. You have to be an ACO preferred installer, which again is just a tick box exercise to make sure that you're fitting the right detector in the right space and things like that. And again, I think, and I've worked with, obviously we work closely with a couple of housing associations down here in South Wales, and I know they've also given back to those housing associations and created like pots of money for projects and things like that. So there are companies and then there are companies, right? And I think they have really put themselves ahead of most people in our industry for a lot of reasons. Again, most people might not even realise. So yeah, I think definitely ACO would definitely be a choice of mine. Any others? Again, I like the Kosnik story, or Koshnik, I'm not sure how you say it.
I think it is Koshnik.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, Ying and her husband, who again started that. I remember when they first came out, got a lot of flack for some of the product they brought in, and their work ethic is insane.
Yeah, she's always at all the trade
She's
shows
at
as
every
well.
trade show personally. She knows her product backwards. Their customer service seems to be really good. Their pricing is good. I don't really hear many issues with their product. Good stocks. They're fantastically well-run company from what I understand. And again, if you're looking at like we would do, you look at the people that sit at the top, and she and her husband just seem to have that down, and they're the sort of people you want to work with. And I like Koshnik. The only other one I think of off the top of my head is Junii Whyte. Again, love the story of Alex and his sister and how they've taken that on and what they've done to that. And Alex as a person as well. I like, funny, yeah, but I'll be honest. So a lot of people don't know this. So I get on really well with Alex. And if I've ever got a question on something or just want to bounce someone off of someone who sits in the same role as I do and doing, do you know what I mean? And there's not that many people in the industry, like managing directors, that talk to each other, because again, that competitive spirit, I suppose, or maybe just because we're just that way inclined. But it's quite an insular role. Like, you don't really have that many friends at work because you have to sometimes make difficult decisions and things like that. And to have someone else to bounce off certain ideas. And again, we looked at things with the website, we've looked at other things in our marketing, and he's always been, in fair play to him, he's always been an open book. Yeah. He's actually offered to come onto the podcast as well. Yeah, we invited me onto the Trade Legends one. We're not quite there yet, guys, by the way, if you are watching this. But yeah, I think what he does, and again, from what I understand, if they ever have an issue with any of their product, okay, and you get in touch with them on Instagram, and he's also a bit like me, he's the one manning it a lot of the time and everything else. They'll deal with it like that. If one of their lights goes faulty or whatever, cool, send it back, we'll send you another one straight. The customer service levels to what they do seems to be quite high. I love the design of their products, since they've done a redesign and rebrand, and the design of their products, the marketing's excellent. I just think as a company, they've got a real good handle of where they are, where they're going. I like their products. I like the way they go about business. So yeah, they would be my three that I would probably say are my favourite other manufacturers.
So we got
until any of them start selling consumer units.
So just to summarise then, so we got Hager, ACO.
No, you have Hager.
Okay. Hey, I have Hager, ACO, Koshnik. Well, we're not quite sure.
Yeah, I call it Kosnik. I've always called it Kosnik.
Koshnik sounds kind of like
cool.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, Koshnik and Junii Whyte. Yeah, so those are our four.
Mm-hmm. And if any of you want to sponsor the show, apart from Hager, I'm joking.
They can sponsor it.
Joking. If Hager want to come on, I'd love to have him on. But to be honest, I used to love Hager product when I was at Ed's. I used to sell it all day long. Our wiring accessories are literally what we did. I love the Solister product, so what I did is I made it look like the Solister product. I got a lot of time for the Hager product, to be honest, and them as a company. But like I said, they got me drunk on my first ever trade show. So match made in heaven. But no, so I think that there are good companies out there, and I think the other thing as well, there are good companies out there doing a lot of things outside of just making product, and I think that should be recognised as well. Good stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So just take us out.
Okay. Well, there's a slight competition. Which I only decided on whilst you were busy dilly-dallying, making mistakes early. No, I'm joking. I decided it last night. So no one knows who our kind of extra host is going to be. He's going to add a whole different sphere. Right. He's younger than us, which isn't hard, as we seem to keep getting older. I don't know what that's about.
How old is he?
God, you know what? I don't actually know. I'm going to say in and around mid-20s. So that gives me space from like 24 to like 28 in my head.
Young pup.
Young pup, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can grow a beard yet. But I can grow until I was 25. Mate, I remember you
I knew you were going to start this story. Yeah, move on, mate. Move on. We've heard it all before.
Yeah. No, they haven't. I'm going to tell that story next time.
All right. I won't be here.
No, you probably
be
won't.
sacked.
After the feedback we're going to get. No, yeah. So he's sort of mid-20 range, really prominent on social media, local to us. If you can guess who it is, either in the comments below or send us a message on Instagram, either to the Verso Instagram or the Talk Up Instagram, and guess who it is. We'll get him to pick. Oh, that narrows it down. It is a him. Get him to pick. Out of a ball of names or whatever, the winner on his first appearance, which will be on the next show.
Great stuff.
And on that, what should we give away? We don't have any Talk Up merch, so that's not going away. Well, I tell you what, we'll give up a Verso hoodie and an 8-way board.
I was going to say a board. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go. Well, there you go.
Oh, bloody hell!
What size is it?
This one you
8MX. Oh, there you go.
One you made earlier, is it?
Yeah. Right. So you will win this 8MX board, which is 6 usable ways with a Type 2 surge protection device in there, and you will win a Verso hoodie in your size, because it'd be basically to send one that doesn't fit you. All you have to do is get in the comments below, guess who our new co-host is going to be, and that's it really. We'll pick it at random on the next show.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
So guys, any feedback, any topics you want us to cover, or anything else, or any guests you want us to try and get hold of, or if you want to come on yourself, just get in touch with us. Instagram's always best, but if you want to send us an email, we don't have one yet, not for the podcast, but no, do you know what? I'm going to make one while I'm doing the edit for this. So it'll be talkup@versoelectrical.co.uk.
When is that's already taken?
We own the Verso. Strike 7. Strike 7.
I'm just playing with you.
Yeah, it's like a cricket score, isn't it? Right. So you can send. You will be able to send us an email, talkup@versoelectrical.co.uk, or get us hold of us on Instagram, or just drop a comment in below. And if you can guess the co-host, this board is yours. Oh, I did a U. I tapped it. I went straight to the mic. I didn't headphones. This board is yours, and solar hoodie in your size. Anything else from you, Uncle Jay?
No, I'm signing off. Probably permanently.
That's it, yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, and also follow us on Spotify and Apple, whatever it is, Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure what it's called, but they're the 3 platforms we're available on. And until next time, thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.